What's up, everyone? Episode 6 already of the COVID-19 quarantine Q&A. And today we're going to talk about my favorite places in the UN. No, not in the UN, in New York. What's on my business cards. Things I did while I first got into a leadership position. And the global strategy of Indigenous Peoples. So let's go.
What's your favorite place to eat in New York City?
So this is a nice question because I travel a lot to New York for my work. Well, not my work, but the work that I do. And yeah, well, there's a lot of places that I like to. I like artichoke pizza. That's very good. But the first thing that I have to do while I'm in New York is to get a pastrami sandwich. Like, I love pastrami sandwiches. I made it some kind of a competition, like internal my own competition, to figure out like where is the best pastrami sandwich in the vicinity, or at least in the neighborhood of alongside 42nd Street or 44th Street. Yeah, when it comes to pastrami sandwiches. So over the years, for example, before I think it was like 5 or 6 years. Every time I went to New York, I stayed at the Bedford Inn, at least the Bedford Hotel, which was on the corner of Lex, and I think it was 39th or 40th Street. And just around the corner is Scotty's Diner. I love Scotty's Diner mostly because it serves pastrami sandwiches and it's open 24/7. So when we had drafting sessions, late night drafting sessions, we just went to that place with our laptops and started hashing out statements and had conversations after the UN, and it was great. I loved going to Scotty's up until the point that they, for some reason, they decided, well, not Scotty's Diner, but at least the Bedford Hotel, was renovated and new owners, and so it wasn't a hotel anymore, at least a hotel that I couldn't afford. And so I stopped going to Scotty's because it was way too far. We moved to a different hotel. So Scotty's has a very special place in my heart. So that's where this whole idea of pastrami sandwich competition started to emerge. So for a very long time, it was my number one sandwich from Scotty's. And then I went to different places, especially when I lived in New York for 6 months, leading up to the World Conference. I started finding out, discovering new places to eat. So I had top three. So top one right now is Juniors. Yeah, Juniors. Not only because of their pastrami sandwich, but also because of they make an amazing cheesecake. So that's number one. Number two is John's. It's near the UN. I go there various times for lunch when I meet Pamela Kraft or other people. So I have lunch over there as well. Or Cafe Olympia, just across the street from John's. Serves pastrami sandwiches. So I love pastrami sandwiches. If it's a good one, I'm coming back to you. Other than that, I like street meat as well. I try out street meat. So the halal guys, also a very good one. Otherwise, I did a couple of years ago with Tracy Fare. We did a foodie tour through mostly, what was it Lower East Side. I don't know. Anyway, it was near Chelsea Market. Yeah, in that area. Gansevoort, Chelsea Market, and we did a foodie tour. So did a lot of great stuff in terms of food. Had a lot of great stuff in terms of food. But then again, like, you can have a lot of things. You can even go to Bubba Gump. That's fun too, to have a little bit of a munch over there in like Forrest Gump style. But well, what else? I already mentioned artichoke pizza. I lived in Long Island City for a very long time, and yeah, well, delivery, of course. Seamless was almost ordered food almost every day, other than going to Whole Foods, getting like a non-GMO food. Yeah, well, that's pretty much. Those are my favorite places to eat, and yeah, I like to discover new stuff while I'm in New York as well. So yeah.
What's on your business card?
All right, business cards. It is, well, something that for a very long time I started to look into, like what should my business card look like, the color, fonts, and size, and everything else. Up until the point that I just created my own business card, like all black, simple name, title or role, what you do, what I did, and an email address, and my phone number. Back then it was a U.S. phone number that I used. So that was pretty much on my business. Oh, I don't have my business cards with me, but that's mainly because I don't have to use them anymore. Whenever I go to meetings and yeah, we start talking with people, and yeah, it's at some point like I don't ask for business cards anymore. Like I just ask, well, hey, do you use WhatsApp, or can I email you something? And yeah, so it's, yeah, it could be helpful to have business cards, but for me, I realized that it is better to continue conversation and communication and connection, like in terms of relationship building, to yeah, just exchange WhatsApp numbers. And I was like, send a text like, hey, was great talking to you. Let's continue this conversation over coffee tomorrow or the day after, or any other time. So I nowadays use WhatsApp more. Business cards, yeah, I received them too, and I developed some kind of I did, like when I was in law school, there was somebody it was like a minor class on international relations, and which included how do you, in terms of like customs when it comes to business cards exchange and meetings, and which included also like how to when you talk to Japanese businessmen or Japanese diplomats, like what do you do? Like there's some things that you have to do, which I will not go into right now, but like business cards, receiving and presenting business cards, that's a whole thing, for a lot of cultures. So that's why I keep them on me. I still have a bunch of them lying around somewhere, but most of the times it is just, hey, so what's your WhatsApp, or can I flick you an email, or something along those lines. So yeah, I don't have them with me actually, so which sucks a little bit. But anyway, yeah, all black. Like I have a less is more approach when it comes to like essentialism, and then when it like minimalism, essentialism, less is more when it comes to design and everything else. So you can imagine what my business card will look like. Otherwise, I'll just pop it in here so you can see a little bit what I'm trying to say. Other than that, let's get to the next question.
What's the first thing you did in a leadership position?
Leadership positions, that's a tough one. What constitutes, in your view, a leadership position? So just to answer the question, so what pops into my mind, the first time that I was actually in a leadership position was when I had a part-time job at a concert hall. Back then it was called Heineken Music Hall. And I was like a team leader, team captain, whatever you want to call it, of the staff that I had to, the people that would run. I was running the bar, and I had staff with me, and I had a team. Sorry, yes, I'm team leader. So when I got that job or role, I was 18, 19 maybe, and I was supposed to be the leader, the manager, quote unquote, of people that were like way older than I was back then. So they were like 22, 24, 28, even 32 back then. And it was, it is hard to come into an existing team already and be the manager or the leader. But it's much harder when you come in and you're like the youngest one. So like a lot of people, this is a maybe word of advice to people that are going into that role or situation. Don't try to like go double down on your authority. Like, I am a leader, I'm the manager, so you will have to listen to me. Don't do that. You know, it is you come in and learn the people that you have to work with. Like ask them questions, be respectful. If you give respect, you'll get respect in return. Like the law of reciprocity, if ever that's a law. So what I did, I started simple, you know, and every concert, like there were like different people at my bar, you know, so I could like there were like, I don't know, like 12 or 15 people every concert, and the composition, like it varies. So what I did, I had a list of names and I tried to memorize their names, like face name. So during the course of a week, if you have like seven concerts, so one concert a day, you're dealing with at least 80, 90 different persons, like that they're working at a center or at the concert hall at a given day. So I made it a point. All right, so like when I talk to someone, like let me introduce myself. What's your name? And I try to use that name like within the first 10 to 15 seconds. Hey, so you're Mary. Hey, hi Mary, how you doing? So what do you do for a living, Mary? Something along those lines. And so that's how I started to train myself to show an interest into what their names are, what they would do for a living, and people started to like gravitate towards that. Like, oh, he's a great guy. At least like when I ask people something, like, hey, Mary, could you do something for me, so that I can do this, but I have to also do that, and they were always responded like, yeah, sure, why not? And because I was respectful, knew their name, knew where they came from, I made a conversation while I was 18, like, and with people that were 32, 34, that would really like listen to what I had to say and looking up to me. So it's first thing that I did was learn, not memorize, but learn people's names with the aim to understanding, building a relationship with them.
Do Indigenous peoples have a global strategy? If so, what is it?
When it comes to global strategies, I always think about the ALTA outcome document. The ALTA process, which is the preparatory process of Indigenous peoples leading up to the World Conference on Indigenous Peoples back into 2000, between 2012 and 2014. Indigenous peoples from all 7 regions and 2 thematic caucuses, so the Women's Caucus and the Youth Caucus, they had their own meetings and came up with priorities and asks or demands or wants that they wanted to see reflect as an outcome of the World Conference. So all these 9 meetings, they fed into one big, humongous meeting held in Alta, Norway, and was attended by over 500 Indigenous peoples from all around the world. So that already, whatever comes out of that meeting, gives it a very high level of legitimacy. So 500 Indigenous peoples, and they came up with a plan of action called the ALTA outcome document, which was fed into the World Conference lobbying negotiating process that will lead into the outcome document of the World Conference. The ALTA outcome document has 4 themes: national policies, UN system action, sustainable development, and I believe lands, territories, and resources. These are just from the top of my head, and correct me if I'm wrong. So from these 4 thematic areas had at least 10 or 12 recommendations that they want to see become a reality, want to see manifested as an outcome of the World Conference. What a lot of people think, both indigenous and non-indigenous peoples, also indigenous peoples that were at the Alta meeting, what a lot of people think that the lifespan of the Alta outcome document was only up until the World Conference. It is not. Because this document has a very high level of legitimacy, because it has a lot of recommendations in it that would secure their survivability, that would secure the respect for rights of indigenous peoples, and would secure sustainable development. It has a lifespan that goes beyond the World Conference on Indigenous Peoples. And that's why it's very important that Indigenous peoples in general, in their discussions, in their dialogues with states, internally, with communities, with everyone, that not only do they reflect or they talk about the Declaration on Rights of Indigenous Peoples or the World Conference on Indigenous Peoples outcome document, but they also talk about the Alta outcome document, or at least whatever they do, that they take into account that it must be in line with the Alta outcome document, so that like if everyone like zooms in on this document and looks at like how can I contribute to the realization of the manifestation of this document, then we would all be able to work in a very consistent and a very concise and structured effort towards making our lives better, like making sure that we can survive that the next 7 generations can survive. So when people ask me what the global strategy is for indigenous peoples, I refer to the Alta outcome document. And I look through the Alta outcome document whenever I'm in negotiations and there's something that some people ask me like, hey, is this what indigenous peoples want? So I go into the document like, well, yeah, it is in theme 2, recommendation or paragraph 10 or 11, you know, and so then I'm sure that it fits within within the framework of the Alta outcome document. Whenever indigenous peoples are having to come up with principles, for example, it could be in any process. You know, I recommend you to go through the Alta outcome document. Let's see what's in the preamble, what indigenous people say about it, about principles, or of why we're doing what we're doing. If you're trying to be very inclusive in terms of like the effects of biodiversity, and you want to like name all like oceans, waters, mountains, plains, deserts, etc., etc., etc. And like the problem is like if you try to be as inclusive as possible, like you try to mention them all, there's always a chance that you'll miss out on a few, and people will be very upset because of it. So that's why I always like to be safe and to be sure. I go to the not declaration. Well, also you can also go to the declaration, but I go to the Alta outcome document, see what what it has written, and then I just reflect that. And when people ask, well, why do you use that and not include this? I'm like, well, it is in the Alta outcome document. It has a high level of legitimacy. Over 500 indigenous peoples were part of the process, and it was a very thorough process as well, not just in numbers, but also like it came from the regions. So global strategy, go look at the Alta outcome document. Anyway, so that's in short episode 6 already. Oh my God, we're going fast now of the Q&A. If you have any questions, comments, or anything else, drop me a line on social media or in the comments, or send me a text, and we'll have a good chat about that. In the end, what do you mean in the end? That's it for me now. Have a great day, and hope to see you at the next episode. See ya.